inicio a la instalación del evento MoodleMoot Colombia 2011 en su segunda versión para nuestro país. Intervención del ingeniero Jorge Mario Calvo, miembro de la Junta Directiva de la Asociación Colombiana de Ingenieros de Sistemas, entidad organizadora de este evento.
Buenos días a todos. En nombre de la Asociación Colombiana de Ingenieros de Sistemas, es un honor para mí hacer la presentación y el saludo para este evento tan importante para el país, el segundo evento que se hace del MoodleMoot, un evento en donde se está reuniendo personas interesadas en la educación, empresarios, estudiantes, profesores, para hablar de esta herramienta de aprendizaje fundamental para el desarrollo de la educación y una herramienta licenciada bajo un esquema de licenciamiento de software libre o open source, importante. Entonces, desde ACIS venimos apoyando esta iniciativa. El comité organizador, pues, encabezado por el señor Helmut Sierra, José Díaz, Manuel Dávila y Herbert Manegas, pues que de forma interesada y dedicada pues han trabajado pues todo el año para lograr el desarrollo de este evento y de esta actividad que es fundamental para toda la comunidad. En este evento pues se han expresado pues que nos acompañen personas de muchos países. Han venido personas no solamente de Colombia, sino de Honduras, República Dominicana, Chile, Venezuela, para los cuales pues agradecemos y que estén participando y que vengan a nuestro país a este evento tan importante. Tenemos más de 300 personas que están participando en este evento, estudiantes, como decía, profesores y empresarios en él. La idea es buscar en este evento pues realizar un escenario real y práctico donde se puedan discutir todos estos temas relacionados con la educación y con la educación apoyada con las tecnologías de información y comunicaciones. Ayer arrancamos básicamente con el tutorial donde se hicieron una introducción. Estuvieron pues personas interesadas en conocer las herramientas, en utilizarlas, en aprender a manejar, a configurar, a instalar, todo lo que tiene que ver con toda la parte práctica de la herramienta. Y ahí queremos agradecer pues a nivel 7 y su gente que nos apoyó en ese tutorial, que fue pues todo un éxito. Adicionalmente pues hoy, en estos días, vamos a tener ponencias tanto nacionales como internacionales. Agradecemos especialmente a todos nuestros panelistas, a todos nuestros conferencistas por el aporte que nos pueden dar, y en especial pues a los conferencistas internacionales. Entonces agradecemos especialmente pues a las empresas que nos han apoyado: Galileo, Consultoría Nivel 7, EduLabs, Un Minuto Virtual y a distancia, las que nos acompañan en este evento. Nuevamente, espero que disfruten de este evento, espero que lo aprovechen al máximo, porque realmente esto es un esfuerzo muy importante que hace la Asociación Colombiana de Ingenieros de Sistemas y el grupo organizador, y creo que va a ser de mucho impacto y de mucha importancia para el país. Bienvenidos a todos.
Intervención del ingeniero Helmut David Sierra, coordinador académico del evento MoodleMoot Colombia 2011.
Es muy grato para nosotros contar pues en este espacio con líderes destacados como los presentes, que hoy son protagonistas, son los representantes de la educación virtual en Colombia, basado en herramientas de software libre. Este evento realmente apoya y, digamos, de alguna u otra manera retribuye a mejorar la educación de calidad en el país. No me queda más pues que nuevamente darles una cordial y calurosa bienvenida, invitándolos a participar el año entrante como participantes, como asistentes, como ponentes, enviando sus propuestas junto con su hoja de vida al correo organizadores@moodlemoot.org.co, y como patrocinadores pues de la misma manera escribiéndonos, ¿no? Recordándoles por supuesto que el otro año vamos a abrir una convocatoria nuevamente donde vamos a entrar a hacer una selección de las ponencias. Este año pues en el comité se discutió ampliamente el tema de tratar de darle un enfoque mucho más, digamos, práctico al tema, ¿sí? No una cosa tan tipo taller, pero sí de pronto la idea es que todos y cada uno de nosotros de aquí salgamos con un conocimiento específico para aplicarlo a cada uno de nuestros proyectos, ¿no? Entonces, bienvenidas sean las propuestas, disfruten el evento. Gracias.
Bueno, con esto entonces damos por terminada esta instalación e iniciamos con la primera conferencia.
Bueno, para iniciar vamos a tener a Martín Guillamos, muchos algunos lo conocen. Vamos a tener un video que él nos ha preparado, que nosotros nos presentaremos vía internet directamente en Australia, donde él va a responder todas las preguntas y inquietudes, o vamos a tener el espacio de poder compartir con él todas sus inquietudes acerca del Moodle, del futuro. Parte del video se trata de eso. Voy a hacer una presentación de Martín a continuación. Como algunos de los conocen, Martín Guillamos es el fundador y desarrollador líder de Moodle. Fundó Moodle hace ya más de 15 años, empezó con este proyecto. Martín Guillamos nació en Parte, Australia, tiene estudios de posgrado en educación y ciencia computacional. Su trabajo ha tenido un impacto significativo en la implementación de modelos constructivistas de enseñanza y aprendizaje en línea. Actualmente sus intereses de investigación se enfocan en la aplicación del constructivismo social y las redes a la tecnología de Internet y las metodologías y prácticas de desarrollo de software open source.
Buenos días, Colombia. Martin Guillamos here from Moodle. Just got time to talk about a few things. I think we have 15 minutes or so. So I want to talk a little bit about where Moodle is at now and where we're going. So right now in August 2011 we are just preparing for the Moodle 2.2 release, and the 2.1 release happened a couple of months ago. So we have a lot to talk about. Let me discuss firstly who's using Moodle at the moment, how they're using it, and what should Moodle do, and then what we're working on towards that. And there should be some questions after this, we can answer those. So the current statistics are we have about 54,000 registered and verified sites. We modify that list actually by checking all the Moodle sites every week. So that's a fairly accurate number of ones that we know about. There are many more sites that we don't know about, of course. And these installations are very global. Here are the top 10 countries. You can see Colombia is right there at number 10. So it's very cool. What I find interesting about this is the international flavour of these countries, the number of languages represented. Quite a few Spanish-speaking countries, obviously. Only 3 English-speaking countries, and they're very widespread. We have most installations in the USA because it's had a large population and has a lot of internet. But probably the biggest country in percentage would be Spain, which is a much smaller country with half the number of installations as the US. Brazil actually used to be 4th, but it's now 3rd, so it's growing very rapidly. So we have a very international group, as you know. We also have a very large variety of people using Moodle, all the way from primary schools and small children through to universities and some quite large installations, some of them with many hundreds of thousands of users. Here in Australia, something like 45% of all the universities are using Moodle now, and they've all changed quite recently, and some more are changing still. We also have a lot of corporate users. Here are some logos of companies that are using Moodle for internal corporate training. There are communication companies, there are insurance companies, oil companies, technical companies, car companies. And this one at the bottom, which is interesting, which is the Queen of England uses Moodle to train the household staff, which is something I did not expect when I started Moodle. There is a pedagogical progression that we're seeing with people using Moodle. Something like this, not exactly, but starting at using Moodle for publishing content and putting up learning objects and videos and so on. This kind of content is always the first thing people want to do online. Then they may start doing some assessment with quizzes and assignments. But moving through these layers to using more of the Moodle activities is something that fewer and fewer teachers get to do. Collaborative content, getting the students to create the content, combining activities into sequences so that the results of one activity then feed into the next activity. Facilitated discussions, using external sites, using all the tools that are out there, the activities and games as well, bringing them into the class. And then the more advanced teacher might use the tools for more analytics of what the students are doing in class. So surveys, logs, looking at various data and what's happening with the students. A very advanced teacher might actually give control to the students to let them actually create some of the structure of the course, to give them some teacher ability. Very easy to do Moodle. Really helps learning in many cases. Also, having students rating each other is again another powerful teaching technique. And finally, a very advanced teacher might get involved in Moodle from the perspective of building new code or researching new techniques online to take part in community practice. Moodle will also around the subject area. So, in that progression, we have mostly 90% down the bottom. So, basically, pretty worried about that. People weren't really using Moodle enough. But I've come to realise that for many cases, for many types of education or types of institutions, that really is all people want. They want a private, secure place where they can enforce traditional roles, teach students, have a very simple scenario and content given to students to learn and that's fine. Even though we know an LMS can be more like a community, every class like a community, collaborating on knowledge together, building knowledge, sharing knowledge, teaching each other, and being part of this collaborative experience, where the assessment is taking place continuously throughout the course, based on your interactions in the forum, your database, contributions to wiki, as well as assignments to quizzes. So, because of that, we have a policy now really of developing these two ends of the spectrum. We have a services roadmap, which is about security, usability, assessment, detailed tracking of users, the more reports and competencies, that side. You might see, for example, corporate training particularly, or more the training perhaps for something like nursing or training. But on the other side, there is a more progressive roadmap which is focused more on the communication side of course, the drag and drop interfaces, more mobile use, more integrations with the internet, better handling of media and so on, so that people can be collaborating very rich media, very easily from the phones. So this is the directions that we have. Now we recently, not that long ago, Moodle 2 was released. The focus of Moodle 2 was on building a platform, a modular platform for development, because we had to modernise many things in Moodle 1 to bring them up to a new standard for building on top. So a lot of the work in Moodle 2 was about creating a stable platform that we could now build upon 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. And so we did many things. These are some of the things that we did in Moodle 2 or now, but I'm sure you are aware of them. Some of these are very big features, very big rewrites to the handling files and so on, and some are small. The adoption of Moodle 2 has increased. It's still a small percentage of Moodle sites are Moodle 2. That is, I think, because a lot of people who came on from Moodle 1.9 are finding it's a big challenge to upgrade to Moodle 2. We all know that it's a very big upgrade, and you do need to intensively think about it. So that takes some time. Some of the third-party code doesn't work anymore, and that's another factor. Themes have to be redeveloped, that's a factor. There are changes to the interface, and people need to train teachers, to inform teachers how to use them, and so on. So looking forward now from Moodle 2, while people are coming on to Moodle 2, we've been working very hard on 2.1 and 2.2. Here's the team who are working on that. We have all these people, mostly first here in Australia, working on that, some in Europe. We've developed a new development process. So we have a new process for our development. We're using a Scrum-based methodology now. We have a much better defined workflow, and we're getting organised into teams. The outcome is that we will now have this cycle, 6-month cycle, as we are developing the Moodle code. So each release, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3, will be coming out every 6 months. And we now have these time-based releases. So for a month we'll be polishing the last release, another month we're working on specs, or 3 months we're working on development of new features, and then the last month is QA, policy assurance testing, documentation, and so because of that, I can say here is the dates for the current releases coming up in the future releases, and you can see that they are well defined. And the first one, Moodle 2.1, since we took up this new thing, was released on time, and it's on the 1st of July. We're going to be supporting each one for a year, and that means we'll be releasing fixes and patches and regular bug updates and so on for a year after its release. So that's what Moodle 2.1 had in it. We added the ability to install 1.9 backups. We added some big changes to the quiz questions, the way they work, so that now we have for developers it's much easier to create new types of quiz questions and do some very cool stuff. Also there is some new quiz features too. There's a lot of interface improvements with the way you configure blocks and so on. There's some performance improvements. And lastly, there is support for the official mobile app on the iPhone. Let's talk about that. I'll skip quizzes for now. So you can look up on Moodle.org. The mobile app, there are a lot of people who have developed mobile apps in the past. The problem with them is that because of the way Moodle was in Moodle 1, there was no way for the mobile app to talk securely to that Moodle site. So what these other apps do is they basically work like a web browser. The new app that we built is focused on being a native app for iPhones and Android. Task focused, so it doesn't try and do the web interface, it does a completely different interface just for the things that work well on mobile. It's very secure because it doesn't work through the web. It has a direct, secure connection to the Moodle website via web services. And it works offline too. So here's some screenshots. For uploading image. There is translation support in this app, by the way, so in Spanish country, for you, or in Spanish. You take a picture on your phone and upload it straight to the same. You can record sound and upload it very easily. You can browse participant listings, so here are some courses and here are students and courses. User account. And when you're there, looking at a user, you can send a message. So Moodle, you can add their trace of their information to your contacts, your address book or your phone. So this is the first version, and the second version, which we're working on right now, unfortunately this is not yet in the Apple Store. This is the iPhone I'm looking at, because there's some difficulty with Apple and the name of the app, which is Moodle. They say they will use one, we can't see it. So working on that. We're already working on the next version, which adds the ability to synchronize content from the course so that you can use it offline. And it won't be all the content, it will just be as much as we can get onto the iPhone. So that at least resources and maybe forums have offline and read them, maybe when you're on the train or something like that. So yeah, there's some of the upcoming features. We're working on the iPhone first, and the Android will come next. It'll be a copy of the iPhone. And later on we'll think about tablets, but for now we're focused on small screens. The tablets use the web quite well already, so they're not so urgent. What about the future of Moodle? We had a lot of things on our roadmap for the future. Here are some of them. The ones that we're working on for 2.2 at the moment are these ones. The first major feature is on grading and rubrics. So we're rewriting the gradebook so that it can basically provide the grading interfaces to all modules. One of the grading interfaces, the main one that people have been asking for, is rubrics, where you have a table of responses for every criteria. So criteria might be, is this assignment have good grammar? And you might have a scale of from very bad to very good. And for each one, you might describe an example, what that should look like. So that helps people grade. The assignment module will get some work as part of that, simplification of the interface. There's going to be some work on page course formats, which is improving the layout of the courses so that each week or topic is on the same page, if you like. There will be support for the INX LTI stand, which allows Moodle to talk to external activities and pass user information so that they get grades back. And finally, there's some work on the repository basis to make Moodle integrate even better with repositories and to have better control of files than we have in Moodle. I will leave it there. But of course, if you want to know anything more, if you want to take part in the Moodle 2.2 specification writing, which is where we are right now, very shortly I'll be posting on moodle.org on the front page some links to the specs, the draft specs, and some feedback. We'd like to have as much feedback as we can in the next few weeks before we start working on stuff. Here's a picture of my kids in the sunset and coast here. So thank you very much. I hope you have a good mood. Enjoy talking about Moodle and hopefully take part on moodle.org and thank you very much.
Bueno, vamos a iniciar la sesión de preguntas para la presentación de Martín. No sé si Martín quiere añadir algo a la presentación o algún mensaje para antes de iniciar
I'm not in yes today, no. Ask questions.
No tengo mayor cosa que añadir a los colegas. I would like to know from the public if there are questions for Martin. Perhaps you can ask him.
Buenos días, Martín. Yo quisiera saber, dentro de, al usar Moodle como plataforma LMS, además de la metodología pedagógica del constructivismo social, para la cual es implementado Moodle, ¿existen otras estrategias pedagógicas que puedan integrarse con una plataforma tan versátil como Moodle, por ejemplo, digamos, el aprendizaje significativo. ¿Tú qué piensas al respecto?
What was the very last thing you said? What sort of learning was it?
Formative learning, he said in Spanish. I don't know if that's a meaning.
No, I don't. Moodle is used very widely. We try and support the cooperative community and their wishes. And that everyone has different approaches to online learning, and so we try to make it. If you look at it, if anyone there knows Unix, and Moodle is meant to be like an operating system for e-learning. The activities are meant to be small, and you put to create large. Just like you put small programs together on the command line to make large.
Hola Martín, mi nombre es David Sierra. La pregunta es precisamente respecto al tema del AMS. En Colombia existen grupos de interés que vienen trabajando sobre esta herramienta maravillosa para el diseño de secuencias de aprendizaje sobre plataforma Moodle. Quiero preguntarte específicamente cómo van esas conversaciones con LAMS para poder tener integrado en una instalación estándar una extensión que nos permita aprovechar esta herramienta.
Yeah, so when you're talking on the mic, can you move it away from your mouth because it cuts out? Right? I can't hear, so I couldn't hear so well at all.
Can you hear me better now?
It's better, yeah. It's just like every second word is gone.
Yeah, what you didn't say, I think, is the communication, the link. Okay, do you want me to repeat the question?
Yeah, sorry, please.
¿Puedes repetir la pregunta al ingeniero?
Perfecto. Martín, quería preguntarte específicamente si se tiene previsto dentro de las nuevas instalaciones, dentro de las nuevas versiones de Moodle, incluir la extensión que permita hacer una integración con la herramienta LAMS.
With integrating with which tool? LAMS tool?
Sí.
Not really. LAMS is a different system. It's more useful for, I think, small courses. So when you have courses that fit over one day or 1 week, then LAMS is useful. Moodle's better at longer courses We used to have an integration with LAMS, but it didn't work out very well and also there's different technology. So they are all supposed to run together, and we stopped it. Somebody else writing if that exists, that you could use it. So we are going to work on that integration.